She was
Yep.
surprised to see her face on our Facebook page. She didn't.
Very much so. See,
So this was the flyer I'm referring to. Where are you there? Ireland?
I'm at in the Cliffs of Moher, on the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland.
Picture. So she gets to go everywhere and she'll tell you about herself. But if you have friends or family that want to see this, we'll post this recording to our public Life Quest of Arkansas Facebook page. And then more information, including the full itineraries for the trips that we're partnering with, are on the Life Quest website under trips. So you can find them that way. You can find this recording on Facebook. And if you can't remember that, call the office and we'll direct you. But I love working with Collette. I love working with Leslie because she's so accessible. I can call her. I've got her on my cell phone. I can email her and, just ask all the questions. The other thing I love is that I don't know how you work with other organizations, but I don't deal with your itineraries, your plane reservations, your lost luggage.
We do that.
I don't do that. So we promote, and then in full transparency, we get a little money, which we're calling a sponsorship.
Yes.
Back from Collette. So it's not a money maker like a fundraiser would be, but it is a nice that it's a perk. It's a perk for Life Quest as an organization, not coming straight out of what you pay as an individual, but as the company as a whole gives back to their partnering nonprofits like us. So
yes.
It's a win-win. So I'm gonna let Leslie tell you what she's here to tell you.
And on that same note, we actually have a Collette Foundation that just sent a nice little check to North Carolina as well, because we have the employees give back a share that we want to, whatever we want. It's not required, but if we do, and then they find whatever areas need it and make donations. So for us, we have a in-house, important to all of us, employee, and her family lived right outside of the Asheville area. And so we chose to give back to that community because, as we all know, they need it right now. Thank y'all for having me. We love partnering with Life Quest and we love having y'all on our trips. So I know y'all just came back. Has anyone else traveled with Collette before? All right. And that's right. You said you had as well. I'm sorry. Well, I'm excited. And here's a chance for all of you to jump on and get to experience what they've gotten to experience. There I am all over the place. Leslie Dorman-Bate. I'm the business development manager for Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. I travel as much and as often as I can, and I usually have 1 to 2 trips in my calendar. That's my beautiful little girl who has a passport and is ready to also see the world. My handsome fiance and I in front of Versailles a few weeks ago. That's me and Sicily in April, London in August, and Amsterdam. Those 3 pictures are from the same trip. So have passport, will travel, ready to go at any given moment. So why Collette? Why does Life Quest of Arkansas partner with us? Well, we've been around going into our 107th season. So right now, 106 years and steady moving forward. We lead the way with curating tours. We build everything from the ground up in-house. So we have product managers that live all over the world. They've eaten at the restaurants, stayed at the hotels, done the activities to put together a tour that we want to put our name on. Every day is something new and exciting. You may be riding a camel through the Sahara Desert one day and taking a cooking class in Marrakesh the next. It's something we want it to be fun, and every day is part of the adventure, whether it's where you're eating, where you're staying, your modes of transportation to and from. It's all part of what makes a Collette trip a Collette trip. We believe in spending more time in destination, not driving between. So on some of the trips, you'll even see we might fly into one location and out of another, which in some trips can save you up to 800 or 900 miles routing back to the original airport or more. We think that's just part of what you do to make the trip flow better. And you'll hear us talk about flow and pacing. We have managed to work our way to the fewest one-night hotel stays out of any group operator. And that's because you don't want to pack and unpack every night. We don't want to pack and unpack every night. So those one-night stays are usually because you're flying in and out of an airport, or it's some hotel that we just don't want you to miss. Like in Ireland, we stay at Cobber Castle. It's only for a night, which I wish I could live there. But we think it's such a great stop that you add that one night in just to make sure it can happen. Embrace the ease of guided tour. We use 4-star plus accommodations, hotel to hotel baggage handling, which I personally love. I get quite spoiled to it. They tell you what time to put your luggage out. You put it out of your room. You have your Collette name tag on it, luggage tag on it. They'll pick it up and load it into the motor coach for you. So all you have to bring is your personal item or your carry-on item down with you, and the big luggage is taken care of. Expert local guides. We incorporate local guides into our tours as needed, but you will have a tour manager with you the entirety of the trip. So that tour manager is great for problem solving, giving helpful hints and tips on things to do in free time, and just being there in case, of an emergency. I had 2 team members that were also in Sicily with me. They decided to ride a motorized scooter on cobblestone streets, and that did not end well. They ended up in the emergency room for 6 hours. Their egos were bruised more than their bodies. However, they had an Italian-speaking tour manager that was with them to translate the entire time. So that's one of the perks of having, hopefully you never need it, but having that tour manager with you. And then what sets us apart? I've already mentioned the 106 years, going into our 107th year of mastery in the making. We have responsible travel that makes an impact. We try to give back to the communities that, and I've kind of touched on that already, give back to the communities that give to Collette, whether that's domestically or internationally. And then worry-free booking, travel, and transportation. I'll touch on that more as we get further into the presentation. And then, of course, the most seasoned team in guided travel. None of them are 107, but they are seasoned well. So Alpine Lakes and Scenic Trains, 11 days, 13 meals are included, departing April 24th, returning May 4th of 2025. I do want to mention for this one, the deposit due date is coming up. It's in 2 weeks. So if you're interested in this trip, you'll want to get your deposit in fairly soon. That date is actually October 25th. So get that deposit in by October 25th for this trip to get the reduced pricing. If you book by that date, it's $150 off. And after that, it's based on availability. So climb aboard legendary Alpine railways and set across the journey to the captivating Alpine landscapes of Switzerland and Italy. Let me try and get that out a little clearer next time. This is an overall activity level of a 2. So this means you like a balanced approach to travel. Walking 2 to 3 miles over the course of a day is no problem for you. Taking part in a leisurely 2-hour walking tour is not a big deal. Maybe covering up to 2 miles with breaks. You can handle a variety of terrains from cobblestone streets to moderate hills with relatively ease without assistance. You can climb a flight or two of stairs with ease. Maybe 1 or 2 days on the tour, you might walk up to 3 to 4 miles. And you can handle altitudes of up to 6,000 feet. For this tour specifically, on the last day, you've included experience of one of the mounts there that reaches up to 6,800 feet. While this level is appropriate for travelers who require mobility assistant devices, just be aware that you may want to sit out of some of the activities if you're not comfortable. And on that same note, I like to tell everyone, if there's something you don't feel like doing, or don't want to do, or want to go shopping instead of this activity, or try a different restaurant, just let your tour manager know. The only time that you have to be anywhere is when the motor coach is going from one hotel to the next. You don't want to miss that. But as far as if you want to sit out of an activity, by all means do so. I did so on my last trip because I just wanted to ride bikes in Amsterdam. So that's what I did. Welcome to Switzerland. Welcome to Zurich, Switzerland's largest city. Isn't it beautiful? Enjoy some free time exploring its old town charm on your first day of arrival. One thing I do love about Zurich is that they have an incredible public transit system. They also have free bike rentals. So I just told y'all, wanted to ride bikes in Amsterdam, I would also ride bikes in Zurich. The next morning, say good morning to Zurich with a walking tour of the city. You'll have a local guide teach you about the city's history and make a few sweet stops along the way to try some of what Switzerland is known for, their amazing chocolate. taste some delicacies for yourself. You'll even have time for to explore a little and have lunch on your own that day. After lunch, it's all aboard. You're off to Zermatt, boarding the Andermatt to experience the world-renowned Glacier Express train. I have done this, and you'd think I would be able to pronounce it at some point, but here we go. Zermatt is a coralless village and absolutely picture perfect in every way. You'll have breathtaking views of the Matterhorn, the iconic mountain with its curved peak that jets up beside the village. You'll start your next morning with a tour manager-led walking tour to get familiar with this quaint village. Formerly a rustic town, Zermatt is now has adapted into a very popular ski resort in the wintertime. The remainder of your day is at leisure for you to take in this picture-perfect view as you'd like and breathe in the fresh alpine air. Maybe you'll join others at the Matterhorn Museum, or if your adventurous side brings you that way, maybe you'll go to the elevated views of the Matterhorn through the railway. The next day, you will depart Zermatt and head towards Italy, so enjoy this incredible scenic mountain drive through the Simplon Pass. Continue on to Lago Maggiore, a tranquil resort area with crystal clear waters and absolutely beautiful backdrop against the Alps. It's the second largest lake in Italy and maintains a pretty mild climate all year long. That afternoon, you'll take time to stroll the cobbled streets of Stresa, which has been long favored of the wealthy aristocrats in Europe because of its blend of elegance. And it is also inspired blend of elegance with its artistry, and it has inspired writers and artists since the 1800s. Step inside a local wine shop where the family teaches you all about some of Italy's local specialties and invite you to try some, and then you'll settle into your hotel for your 3-night stay. The next day is yours to enjoy Lake Maggiore. You might even soak up the sun along the waterfront, relax at a outside cafe, or head on the waves by boat. There is a optional tour if you're interested to go take that boat ride on Lake Orta, the hidden gem that surrounds the romantic village. And there you go. There's that optional excursion, Treasures of Lake Orta. So you'll be able to go out, have a nice little boat ride, enjoy some of the incredible areas and chapels built in the scenic location above as a pilgrimage site for those who could not afford to journey to Jerusalem once upon a time. Now we're not going to Jerusalem right now at all. No. Take a walk around the island before returning to the mainland for time at leisure in the old town of Orta. Yes, ma'am.
What hotel are we in for 3 nights?
I do, let me tell you. You're at the Zachariah? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's in here though. Zacchera hotels on Lake Maggiore.
Okay.
But the list is, if you want to know which hotels, they're all listed right here in the brochure. For those of you who are on Zoom, just so you can see, the hotels are listed right here for the entirety of the trip. As evening approaches, board a private boat for a cruise to the Isla de Pescatori. On the island, you'll enjoy dinner at a local restaurant. The next day, you will have your chance to pick which way you want to do it. I love these. It's called It's Your Choice. So you'll have a tour between the garden tours or the museum. Whatever draws you in, this is included in the price of the trip, so it's not additional. It's just a way that you can kind of make it a little more customized on your experience. That afternoon, set sail to Isla Bella, known as the beautiful island, and it certainly looks that way. With let the expert guide you and journey into the Borromeo Palace, a lakeside Baroque beauty adorned with an exotic garden. That afternoon, experience sweeping coastal views on your drive from the picturesque shores of Lake Como during your full morning bus transfer to Toronto, and spend the afternoon traveling along the world's most scenic railways. There you go. There's your most scenic railways. That looks pretty beautiful. Take a journey along the express en route to St. Moritz, Switzerland. Witness the striking landscapes of the Italian and Swiss Alps along your voyage. Arrive in St. Moritz. Enjoy the evening at leisure while you relax and stroll the lakeside boulevard. It's also a ski resort town and a jet set destination for the and playground for the wealthy. During the winter months, you'll be going at a nicer time where the climate's a little warmer and you won't need your snow boots to get around. Then the next day, day 9, slow and steady winds today as you enjoy a leisurely start to St. Moritz before heading to Lucerne, the Swiss paradise of the lake. Lucerne has more than 800 years of history, so walk along Chapel Bridge, which was built in 1365, and see the famous 14th century paintings depicting Lucerne's history. The next day, enjoy the splendor of the pure nature while gliding over the clear landscapes in a panoramic gondola and spectacular cable cars. And that night, you will gather with your group for dinner, a farewell dinner featuring Swiss specialties. So join us for alpine lakes and scenic trains. Pricing is broken down in the book. If you book before the 25th, it is $5,749 per person for a double. Singles and triples are also available for this tour. Those reservations want to be made sooner than later because the singles and the triples often sell out quickly because there's only a certain number of those dictated by the hotels. Also, important dates, and I did it this way because I want to make sure people could see where it is. Important dates are right here on the last page. The deposit is $698, so that's in order to just get your name on, register for the trip, $698. Reservations must be in by October 25th. Final payment is due February 23rd, and deposits and any money put down are fully refundable until October 25th of 2024. So in a couple weeks. All right, the next trip, spotlight on New York. From Lady Liberty to Greenwich Village, New York is the city that never sleeps. Here you go. So 4 nights in the beautiful city of New York. This is an overall activity level of a 3. This means that you are on the go traveler. You don't want to miss a thing. Walking 2 to 3 hours isn't a big deal. In Manhattan, it's easier to walk a lot of places than it is trying to get the motor coach around. So there is going to be more walking on this tour, a moderately paced 2.5 to 3 hour walking tour covering several miles, uneven surfaces, not a problem for you. This one is not fit for travelers who require a mobility assistance device, scooters, walkers, things along those lines. Start spreading the news. You get into New York and enjoy the city that never sleeps. It consists of 5 boroughs: Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, and Staten Island. You'll get settled into your Times Square hotel, which is the Sheraton Times Square, and get ready for your tour starting the next day. An exciting day begins with breakfast at a local eatery before embracing the city's energy and locally guided tour of the Big Apple. You'll find yourself in Greenwich Village, the Wall Street District, Chinatown, and Central Park. You'll see Museum Mile, Madison Square Park, and Soho and Chelsea. See the Empire State Building and so many other time-honored landmarks. And take advantage of a free afternoon. Your tour manager will have countless suggestions. Again, they love to give tips and hints and tricks for things that you like to do. And if you want to go see a museum or if you want to go shopping, they'll be happy to point you in that direction. Later that day, you'll enjoy dinner at a local restaurant. Oops. And then you will take your seat for a Broadway play. So before the trip departs, typically about 80 days out from departure, you'll receive a list of the plays that we're offering. It's typically a handful of them that you get to pick from. You'll need to give us that back by about 50 days before departure so we can get the tickets for those who want to go. They don't have to all be at the same play. And then once you've made your choice, though, the tickets are purchased, so you do have to stick with that one. Unfortunately, we can't switch plays. but you'll enjoy that play. And it's usually whatever's trending and popular and hot in New York at that time. Next morning, you'll enjoy breakfast at a local diner again before you set out to board a ferry to go to New York Harbor. You'll take in the incredible sights of the Statue of Liberty. You'll pull up close so you can dock right up next to her and get to see her. Then you'll head over to Ellis Island and step back in time on a self-guided tour of the museum. It opened to immigrants coming through in 1892 and was converted into a museum in 1990. That afternoon and evening, you'll have some time at leisure to enjoy the city that never sleeps. Maybe you'll choose to go on a walking tour and dinner in Greenwich Village, or just take time to explore on your own. If you want to do the Greenwich walking tour and dinner, it's about a 4-hour excursion. And you'll walk and learn about the history and the arts and the culture of Greenwich Village. And then you'll sit down for dinner at a family style restaurant and get to just talk about everything you've seen and taste a wide variety of foods while you're there. And then you'll satisfy that sweet tooth for dessert by going to Rocco's for a cannoli, which is one of my favorite Italian desserts. And then you'll take the subway back to your Midtown hotel. Day 4, you will reflect on the 9/11 Memorial and the 9/11 Museum, which is a poignant tribute to all of those who lost their lives. Around it, you'll see the names that are engraved of everyone who lost their lives because of it. That afternoon, we'll have a fun afternoon at the Broadway again, where you'll choose again your selection of shows. And then after the Broadway play, you will join your group for dinner at a local restaurant. And then the next morning, it is sad to say it's time to go and say farewell to the city that never sleeps and head home. So Spotlight on New York, May 8th through the 12th of 2025. This trip is $2,949 per person. And again, any of these trips that I mentioned, this pricing does not include insurance. And I'll talk about the insurance in a little bit. And the deposit due date for this one is November 8th. That's my mom's birthday. So get your deposit in for that one before November 8th. And again, all of the important pricing dates with the deposit is in this bold on the last page. So if you need to go back to those, that's where they're located. All right, the next tour, Alaska Discovery Land and Cruise. I did not put the dates on my slide for some reason, but it is June 25th to July 6th. What I love about this trip is that you get a little bit of the land-based national, Denali National Park, and then you hop on the cruise and get to cruise all the way down to Vancouver. This is a level 1 out of 4. So this is about as leisure of a trip as, well, it is as leisurely as a trip as we offer. This means you want to relax, you want to see the new sights, but take it easy. You can handle 1 flight of stairs, board a coach, walk for 15 to 30 minutes at a time. You will start your trip in Fairbanks, the largest city in the interior region of Alaska. And I will tell you, there's not a super easy way to get there. There will be multiple connection flights because Fairbanks, is way up there. But once you get up there, it's well worth it, and the trip will be incredible. Fairbanks is Alaska's golden heart. Next morning, you'll step aboard an amazing cruise and take a step back in time on the Sternwheeler Discovery. The steamboat tradition dates back into the late 1800s. You'll cruise along, you'll take in the majestic scenery, you'll make stops along the way to absorb the beauty and the scenery. Once you set off by motor coach towards Denali National Park, you'll catch views of the incredible Denali. There you go. North America's tallest mountain along the way. You may also keep your eyes peeled and maybe your camera's ready because you are likely to spot grumbling grizzly bears along the way. That night, you'll enjoy a musical performance that tells the stories of the brave men and women who have climbed the summit to Denali, and followed by dinner. So you'll get a little dinner and a show. That morning, you'll travel deep into Denali National Park, begin your tundra wilderness tour where you'll get the best opportunities to see the wildlife of the area. you'll spend the rest of your day at leisure, then you'll get settled into or relaxed at your hotel. If you want, you can take a stroll outside the hotel, go shop in the gift cabin, and buy some special Denali area souvenirs there. You can also try to spot the big five, which are the brown bear, moose, caribou, wolves, and Dall sheep. The next day, after breakfast at the hotel, you'll begin your scenic train ride to Talkeetna. Its population is less than 1,000 people, so it's a quirky and beautiful little village with that had a mayor named Mr. Stubbs for 19 years. Mr. Stubbs was a cat. So, like I said, it's a quirky little village, but it's absolutely adorable. You'll take in the evergreen trees and towering mountains as you pass them and see the incredible sights from your domed windows on the train. You head to the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge, where you'll stay the night. Its rustic and comfy lodge offers spectacular views. Does look like something out of a book. I mean, it's absolutely perfect looking there. Today, you'll depart for your ship. Along the way, you'll make a stop in Anchorage, Alaska's largest city. Anchorage enjoys up to 19 and a half hours of daylight in the summer. So I feel like it's safe to say that all of the hotels have blackout curtains. You will also make a stop at Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center, which was discovered where you will discover orphaned bears, wolves, porcupines, and moose that are all cared for in the 200-acre rehabilitation site. Later, you'll arrive in Whittier, the small port town, which is known as Alaska Marine Highway. There you will board your ship for the 7-night Holland American cruise aboard the fabulous floating resort. This includes modern and comfortable lounges, tons of dining options, casino, swimming pools, fitness center, and spa. And while you're on board, you will have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and nightly entertainment included. When conditions allow, your ship cruises up to the Mammoth Hubbard Glacier, one of Alaska's most advancing glaciers. Keep your camera ready because watching the ice pop and break off of the glacier is pretty majestic in its own right. You'll cruise into Glacier Bay, a spectacular national park and preserve. It's the remnants of the last of the park's 4 glacial periods. Skagway is the first port of call where you will have the entire day to explore its gold rush history and see why it's called Garden City of Alaska. The town is small, but big on adventure with many things to do and see. And if you're interested, we do have an optional excursion, the Skagway Tour and Summit Overlook. So you'll get to see the town's natural beauty, historical wonders, and learn what made it famous. The little change has happened there, except there are not quite as many residents there as there were during the gold rush years. The next day you'll explore, your explorations will take you to Juneau, Alaska's capital city. And despite being the capital, it's also the most remote city. So you can get there by boat or seaplane. It's known for its mining and fishing and was part of the gold rush from 1916 to 1944. Choose to explore on your own, or you may purchase an optional tour in Juneau. The optional tour is the jet boat whale watching tour. So if you're interested in doing that, I haven't done it, but I've heard it's a lot of fun and quite exhilarating. But you will get up close and personal, hopefully, with the whales, porpoises, sea lions, and seals. And not too up close and personal, a nice little distance between some of those is always good. Day 10, your port of call is Ketchikan, Alaska's most southeastern city. It's called the salmon capital of the world and the city of totems. I went salmon fishing there when I was about 9. We caught more salmon than I could ever imagine. And I ate salmon for what seemed like years following that trip because we had it shipped home to us. I think it was probably about 20 years later before I ate salmon again. We cooked it all the time. There's also an optional excursion, the Misty Ford flight seeing. So if you like a little adrenaline junkie like myself and want to head out on the plane, you'll get to see the area through the glaciers from the flight seeing option. So it's a wonderful way to kind of see the area, experience the tranquility of Alaska's landscape and wilderness. And of course, don't forget to bring your camera with you. The next day, a wonderful day of sightseeing awaits as your ship sails along the amazing inside passage. And then your tour ends in the vibrant and gorgeous city of Vancouver, leaving you with wonderful memories of your tour of one of the last great frontiers. I'll tell you, Vancouver blew me away. I absolutely loved it. It's such a clean and friendly city with lots of parks and just beautiful areas to wander around. So for this one, those important dates are deposits are refundable up until Christmas Eve. So that's an easy one to remember. December 24, you'll want to go ahead and get those reservations in as soon as possible, though, because especially for cruises, cabins sell out. So if you want to get your preferred cabin type, reserve sooner than later for that one. But the pricing is in here. I mean, they range in price there's a wide range of price. So feel free to grab one of those brochures if you want to look at the pricing of the different staterooms and cabins.
For the cruise ship, i.e. how many passengers?
This is not a massive one. It's not going to be one of those 7,000-8,000 people, but it's also larger than like a river cruise or something like that. So you're going to find it somewhere in that middle, probably 3,000 to 4,000 people on it. But it's not going to be
How many?
probably about 3,000 to 4,000. It's not going to be one of those massive cruise ships. Well, they have a lot of rooms on those things. They fill them up pretty well. I'll get a number for you because I don't know exactly, but I will find out for you. No, you're right. It doesn't look like that. It might be only about 2,500, but I will get an answer for you, Leah, so that they can get back to you. Normally we would have that in here, so I'm not quite sure why it wasn't. All right, one more. Colors of New England. Looks like something else out of a book, picture book, coffee table book, something beautiful. This is also an activity level of a 1, which means, again, you're a leisurely traveler. You want to see new places, enjoy them at a slower pace, take it all in, enjoy the beauty. You can board a coach, walk up a flight of stairs, walk 15 to 30 minutes at a time, but it's more about the sightseeing than the strenuous activities. Welcome to Massachusetts, where your journey through the charming and vibrant New England begins. Excuse me, one moment. As the famous site of the Tea Party, Boston is known for its sense of independence. I lived in Boston for a year. It is a wonderful city. If you haven't been, this alone to me is worth going to. I think it's a beautiful city. You can pretty much walk the whole thing, which is kind of nice. Next day, you'll set out for Vermont, the Green Mountain State, with its impressive 160-foot deep, mile-long Quechee Gorge. It's known as Little Grand Canyon. And I laughed at myself this morning as I was refreshing myself on how to pronounce that. And I was like, I live in Louisiana. I pronounce funny words all the time, but that one I had to look up. That afternoon, watch glass-blowing artisans craft unique art at the Simon Pierce flagship store. If you haven't seen glass blowing before, it's an incredible artistry. I'm sure I would break every single piece if I was doing it. After lunch, arrive in Woodstock. This quintessential Vermont village is characterized by its village green, general store, farmers markets, and covered bridges. Framed by fire-colored leaves in the fall, Woodstock is a perfect place to stroll, dine, or shop. You'll also continue on to your resort in Stowe after your visit there. The next day, we're off to Cold Hollow Cider Mill, the perfect place to get a piece of New England to take home with you. They have locally made honeys and jams, treats, and much more. In the historic mill, watch and learn how fresh cider is produced in the old-fashioned way, and even get to taste a sip of it. This afternoon, visit the Trott Family Lodge. It's incredibly beautiful. It's very rustic feeling, and the scenery around it's just breathtaking. I stayed there years ago, and of course, my family and I all loved Sound of Music. We watched it regularly growing up, so we sang quite a few of the songs as we were walking the halls. Feel free to do the same. I'm sure they're used to it by now. You're off to New Hampshire. Soak in the lovely New England countryside as you journey through the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Make a stop at Rocks Estate, home of the North Country Conservation Education Center, and learn how they get maple sugar, and visit the virtual tap room. After breakfast, make your way to Mount Washington, the highest peak in northeastern U.S. Isn't that beautiful? We don't get those colors in South Louisiana, just in case y'all were wondering. Y'all do get more beautiful colors up here, though. You'll have your option later. It's your choice between a nature walk or explore North Conway. Again, New England, not Arkansas. So in either way you choose to spend the day, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. You'll journey to New Hampshire's picturesque lakes region, a popular vacation spot year-round. Then you'll board the MS Mount Washington and spend the next hour cruising this beautiful lake. I'm going to attempt to pronounce it for you, but I know I'm going to be wrong. So Winnipesaukee, I think is how it's pronounced. I was going to skip it all together, but there you go. There's my attempt. New England's largest lake. It's distinguished by its crystal blue waters or crystal clear waters and dotted with over 200 islands. Isn't that part of just what makes New England so charming, or all those cute little islands? Then visit the charming town of Wolfboro, the oldest summer resort in America. And later travel to Maine's seacoast and arrive in Portland. Once home to sea captains and known as one of America's coolest cities. The next morning, you will get a locally guided tour of Fort Williams Park to view the Portland Head Light, the most photographed lighthouse in America and the oldest in Maine. And I'm sure you've all seen pictures of it before because it is beautiful. That afternoon, you'll enjoy some free time and stroll the beautiful historic Old Port neighborhoods and shops and restaurants if you'd like. And then, of course, a trip to New England would not be complete without a farewell dinner of native lobster, which is one of coastal Maine. It is what coastal Maine is known for. I will jump into this one. Colors of New England, departing October 11th. Returning October 18th, 2025. And important dates again to remember, deposits are refundable until April 11th. So you want to get your reservation in before April 11th. And this tour is $4,649 per person based on double occupancy. So keep that in mind if you're interested in seeing the fall foliage. And I'll jump back into the presentation. Hometown pickup. We're not doing it. Because most people live in the Little Rock area. You just go directly to the airport and join your group there. Personalize your adventure. If you want to go in a couple days earlier to any of the destinations or stay a little longer, let us know when you're booking. We're certainly happy to bump those flights out for you and help you get hotels there as well. No worries, travel protection. We offer a cancel for any reason travel policy. You can cancel up to the day before departure and get all of your money back minus the cost of the insurance. And it can be for any reason under the sun. It can be as silly as me calling and saying, I'm having a bad hair day and I don't want to go on the trip. And they will refund my money. I wouldn't do that. I would wash my hair and get on the plane. But it's that easy to cancel. And then while you're on tour, it covers medical assistance, evacuation, baggage loss, delay, and we use TravelX insurance for that portion. But it's one price, covers you before and while on tour. And for those of you who have traveled with us in the past, we offer a Passport Club stamps to more adventures. So the more you travel with us, the better your discount is. That you will need to call into group services for, so they can it's based on the price of the trip. So they'll have to look at the history, look at everything that you did, and they'll be able to give you the price off of your next trips. For all of the trips except for New York and Colors of New England, you will need your passport because even the Alaska trip goes into Canada. So you'll need your passport for that. And then of course, for Alpine Lakes and Scenic Trains, you'll need your passport as well. Domestic travel starting in, they're telling us, May 7th of 2025, you will need to have the real IDs. So on your driver's license, it'll have that little star. It's just one more step of security that the Departments of Motor Vehicles is doing. This has not come into fruition yet. It's very similar to our real ID where the date keeps getting pushed back. And so we're not really sure when it's going to go into effect. They're telling us starting in 2025. So I like to just let people know about it in case it's something that comes to fruition. This is a visa that they will be requiring to parts of the European Union. It's a very simple process. You'll go online, you'll complete the information. It's going to run between $7 and $9, and you should have your approval within 24 to 72 hours. So it's a very fast process. It's not like a passport, but that is something that is supposed to be going into effect. And that is it. Do y'all have questions for me? I will, if anyone knows that they want to register for one of the trips, I'm happy to hang back and walk through the registration with you to get that taken care of. It's up to you. If you want to do it later, that's fine too. You certainly can call Collette directly and they will be happy to get you registered if you're interested.
Unfortunately, I missed, I was late coming in. The trip to Zurich, what airlines do you do?
For all of our tours, we use the major airlines. So it's typically, and I don't know for this trip because we buy the packages closer to departure. But I do not know yet. It's typically Delta, American, United, or one of their co-share partners. But you can, I'm sorry. Typically, we know about 45 days before departure. Now, if it's something that you want to do the trip, but you have miles or points that you want to use, you certainly can do that. You'll just call into Collette. They can give you a land-only package with pricing that way. I don't have land-only, but they can give that to you before booking for just the land. Yes, ma'am.
So we can call on Collette to make a reservation. Do we reference the particular tour?
Thank you for asking that. On which trip are you interested in? I'll make sure.
I'll say last.
Okay, perfect. On the front of the brochure, there's a number and then it says, please refer to booking 1212301. And I think it's on all of them. So whichever trip you choose to call, you'll just call the number and give them that reference number and that will take them to the correct trip. You're very welcome.
Does that also designate that it's a life quest?
Yes, it does. Correct. And also in here, this code, this rough booking number is specifically for the Life Quest trip. Also, you can go to this web link down here, which will also take you to the Life Quest trip specifically.
You can go to the Life Quest website
And register that way.
straight to the Collette trip.
Correct.
We only do trips with Collette, so there's no confusion about.
So multiple ways to get registered if you're interested. Any other questions? Any of them grab your attention?
All of them.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, does Collette have anything for the coming year in either the maritime provinces, Canada or Ireland?
Yes, yes, and yes. We have coastal maritime, which runs most of the year. Do you want me to pull that up? Can I do that? Or do you want to hold off? Okay, Eastern Canada. And Nova Scotia, we have Best of Eastern Canada, which is kind of our the waterfalls. Thank you. And I was like, I'm completely, but you go see the Canadian side of it. We also have the Maritimes, coastal Maritime as well. Both are excellent trips, and that might be something we want to look at for 2026. And Ireland, Shades of Ireland, which does everything but Northern Ireland. We have a Ireland featuring Northern Ireland as well. So it's the same trip. They just add on 3 or 4 days. We have Emerald Isles, which it's a small group, but you also go out and spend a night on the Aran Island. So you get to look back at the Cliffs of Moher. And we have Irish Splendor, which is more of a wintertime trip to Ireland. So it's cooler, it's colder, but it's also a great trip because you're there in off season. So it's not quite as busy, but you do need to pack that warmer coat for it. But all of those can be booked through LifeQuest. These are the ones that we are holding group space on, but anything can be, go through LifeQuest. Yeah, so we just need to know, and Leah can reach out to me. We can get someone to get in touch with you to do that.
How many people are usually on the motor coaches? How many does that count?
Our classic trips accommodate up to 44 people, on average about 38. But the motor coaches are larger than that. We don't fill them to capacity, so there's some room to move around and not feel like you're sitting on top of somebody.
The motor coach that we did in Maine,
Mhm.
there were 24, so we had lots of room. And they put out your seats, and that lasted 1 day, and then everybody just,
Did their own thing.
yeah, and we changed all the time just so we visit with different people, but it was a kind of a rolling party.
I love it. I've had great experiences on the motor coaches as well. Our tour managers, like he was saying, our tour managers like to do seating assignments where you're still with your travel companion if you're with someone. If not, if you are traveling single, then you have a chance to meet more people on the motor.